and welcome to Jess and the Guest. Like all low points in life, I created a podcast. But as a high point today, I interview one of the most talented people I know, the beautiful, the talented, incredible Lauren Lapkus. We talk about everything from working with Adam Sandler, working with David Spade, her #1 hit movie on Netflix, The Wrong Missy, Orange is the New Black, Crashing, Jurassic World. I mean, look, she's done so much, but Lauren and I are equally successful, okay? She's doing all of that, and I am quarantining with my family in my sister's childhood bedroom. Yep, equally successful. Stay tuned. Oh, God, how are you surviving this year?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm doing okay. I think just relatively speaking, I'm fine because I know people who've had it way worse during this time. So I have that perspective, of course, but it's definitely a drag. It sucks. I mean, this is like the worst. I haven't seen anyone in forever. I haven't done anything fun in forever. And It's depressing.
That was like the most positive way to say it, though. So I was like,
yeah. It's really depressing.
Yeah. Does your dog like you being home as much as you are?
Yes, my dog. She hates going outside in general. She hates walks. So
yeah,
she's really enjoying this time together that we have. Do you have pets?
So cute. Yeah, I have 2 dogs. So they're like, this is their best life. But I'm like, I'm going crazy.
Yes. I know. I think every dog is going to have social anxiety when we all eventually leave our houses again.
Oh, yeah. But so I started at UCB New York, and I remember watching you in the Lapkus shows. Like, I love Don Finelli and Lauren, and you were so funny back then. Like,
thank you.
How do you play such fearless, committed characters? Like, in everything you do, it's so fearless, and I struggle with that. So I'm like, how do you do it?
Oh, thank you. Well, when I think back to like when I started doing improv, like so much of what I was doing was all characters because I really didn't want to be myself. Like I didn't know what to bring to the table as myself. And so, especially because I started when I was in high school, I started taking classes at Improv Olympic in Chicago. And so that also added to that feeling of like, I don't have anything to add. Everyone's like older and they have more life experience. Yeah. So I always played like characters as a way to get myself to just do improv because it was scary. And so over the years, I think that just developed to the point where it was like my thing is that I do characters. And so I go for them really hard. But it wasn't until I got to UCB in New York that I started learning their style, which was a lot of times being close to yourself. Like people would even call you your own name in the scene, which I found like really jarring because I had never even like talked as myself on stage. So that was really good for me though, because it kind of like shook me out of that and allowed me to go like, oh, you can also like bring your own personality to this and it helped me like find my voice as a person on top of the character stuff. So yeah, but it's just definitely, it's probably born out of insecurity.
Are you finding characters now like in other shows? Like I texted Jimmy Fallon directed one of my shows and I loved it.
I love him.
And I texted him after I watched Claire and I was like, I feel like this is your character. Like I just feel like characters everywhere. I'm like, do you
oh my God,
your own characters in other shows or people you can play?
Yes. And I mean, I love reality TV so much. It's like a huge influence for me. So I mean, I also just think it's entertaining, but I get a lot of character inspiration from those people because I can't believe that people really act like that, especially on TV. So that's something that is always inspiring to me. I mean, I love The Bachelor. I love Real Housewives. I eat that stuff up. And I just love these people because they're a lot of times just so over the top, especially Real Housewives. Like, everything they wear and do and scream at each other is just like unfathomable. So I love that. It just kind of makes me feel like any of my insane characters could be real because these people are real and they do this.
Yeah. Did I see you in the audience of one of the live shows? Am I crazy? Yeah.
For The Bachelor?
Or was it that or like Watch What Happens Live?
Oh yes, I was on Watch What Happens. Well, yes, I've been to both. Okay, not to brag, but
I'm very jealous of both.
Okay, I went to a taping of Watch What Happens Live. It's my friend was working on the show, and it was the episode where Kim Kardashian was being interviewed, and so I was very excited to go because she's fascinating. Oh, yeah. And truly, that was like one of the craziest experiences because watching her, it was like any judgment I could have of her like faded away. I just felt like in awe of her in her presence. Like she was just so beautiful and so poised. And it was like this person is fascinating. I don't know.
Yeah. I could never like, I don't know. I feel like she always has to look a certain way and I could never. I'm like, what?
Same. Well, that's kind of the dream. It was like looking at her, I'm like, I wish I could look like that, like pulled to, just in the sense of being pulled together. Like, I feel like it's hard enough. I don't do my hair. I don't know what's going on. So like, I'm like impressed by anyone, but she has a whole team of people who's making it happen. So
What are you thinking of The Bachelor this season? Any crazy?
oh my God. Matt, I think, is a really good Bachelor. I really like that he has never, quote unquote, never seen the show. I think that's like really nice because it makes him feel like really real. And so all of the moments with the girls, I feel like are pretty authentic because he's not doing what he thinks he's supposed to do right now because the show always does this right here. Yeah. However, I do think that he's being told to keep Victoria around, and I don't like that because he got rid of some like beautiful girls who seemed like really sweet. I was like, this is nuts. Like, you can't just get rid of these people you haven't even talked to yet to keep someone around for the show.
Yep. No, they definitely do that. But yeah, I was like, come on, like this looks so fake. I feel like
especially because we know that he isn't used to like the way the show works, so it feels like he's being forced to. Like, it's like his last one goes to her, and we're like, okay, yeah, fine.
Oh my God! And did you hear Claire broke up? Claire and Dale.
Okay, so I've been expecting this for months, obviously. The second they left off the show, I was like, okay, well, I can't wait for the countdown of when this relationship ends. But then she posted today that he posted about their mutual breakup, and she was not aware that he was going to post that. And so she's dealing with that and still is committed to the relationship. So it's a mess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. What I can say is they cannot have her back on the franchise. She's done every single iteration. I'm like, we've got it.
Yeah,
she's been engaged multiple times through the show. Like, we're good.
Insane. Oh, I'm so glad you like it though. It's like my guilty pleasure still. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Same. I'm not even guilty. I'm like, it's my pleasure. It's like every week, let's go.
I love you commenting on it too. It's so funny. Like, I rewatch everything you comment because I'm like, yes, oh my God. So
thank you. Yeah, I definitely have created like a weekly unpaid job for myself where I post Instagram stories of The Bachelor, and I feel like I have to do it, even though like it's not that I have so many people who are like, I have to see this every week, but there's this feeling in my head of like, I've started this tradition where I will post it, and I get enough people who say, I've never seen the show, I only watch it through your stories, that I'm like, okay, well, you got to see the rest of the story. I can't like not finish this for you. Like, I'm going to do it every week. So that's been fun.
When you work with David Spade, I know he's a fan. Did you guys talk about The Bachelor together, or?
We did. I've done these stories for a long time, and he has as well. Yeah. And so when we got to work together, I mentioned that I liked the show, and then we started watching together, and it was really fun. It was like kind of a weekly tradition that we would get together with some other cast members and watch the show and do some stories, and it was so funny to watch with him. I mean, he's like the funniest person ever. So it was great.
Were you intimidated? You work with such incredible people. Like, I love the scene where you're yelling at Adam Sandler's kids and the young Missy. But in my head, I was like, you must have been, or I would have been so intimidated yelling at his kids. Like, how was the process?
There's definitely a moment of like fear with that, of like, because he's like, go yell at them harder, like say anything, like just tell them to fuck off. And like, there's that moment of like, okay, I'm really gonna do it, like that's what's gonna happen. So there's a moment of like a little bit of intimidation and just wanting to do a good job. But I do think like actually improv has helped so much over the years with just giving me that boost of like, I can just do this and not have to think twice about it. Yeah. And in situations like that, it really comes in handy because I think otherwise I could really judge myself and like pull back and get nervous, and it's just nice to not have that filter.
Yeah, it was perfect. How was playing a character with like no boundary, or maybe less small boundaries, or it was you were so good at it, and I was like, how do you do that?
Thank you. That was like my favorite thing ever, because I truly got to bring so much of what I do with like my characters and improv and sketch and bring that to a movie. I've never really had the opportunity to do that and to go so crazy with it. So it was really exciting to have that chance and to get to bring my own personality to the role and my own sense of humor. And it felt just very validating to kind of, just hear that people thought it was funny and enjoyed it, and to feel like, oh, we had a really good time making it. And it was truly just balls to the wall. So I was very grateful for that opportunity.
Okay, I'm hoping this isn't true, but did they use real chum bucket for that one scene? I was like, no, it can't
Yes, it is true. It was very sad. It was a very sad
be.
day. I was we were supposed to use fake fish, and then the prop guy pulled me to the side like the day before, and he was like, just so you know, it hasn't arrived yet, and so I'm washing this fish with lemon to try to make it smell better. And I was like, I thought he was kidding, and I was like, okay. And then he was like, no, for real, like it's gonna be real. And I was like, okay. And so that whole day was really hard because we were shooting on a boat, and I get seasick very easily, and I had to have real fish thrown on me, and they were like digging fish bones out of my hair between takes, and
Oh my God.
it was just honestly repulsive. And then I had to like vomit over the side of the boat with cold soup in my mouth. So it was just like a series of events of like I was just being put through the ringer that day. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. But I was very happy to go back to the hotel that night.
Oh. Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah.
All right, Jess and the guest listeners, as someone who is currently quarantining with their family, I've never needed therapy more in my life. I feel like everyone could use that. And luckily, there's a place like BetterHelp.com. Again, that's BetterHelp.com. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. And Jess and the guest listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/Jess and the guest. This will help you with everything. It puts you in touch with a licensed counselor within 48 hours, which, dear God, we all need that, truly. So again, that's BetterHelp.com/Jess and the guest, and you'll get 10% off your first month. What, is there anything surprising like working with David Spade? Like, I've loved him forever too. I think he's
same.
Yeah.
I think what was surprising, and maybe not surprising, but what was really nice about it was that he's just like a really good person, and he's so kind and warm and like inviting. And I think, you just never know what you're going to get working with a celebrity, especially someone you've admired for a long time. Like, it could be that they're really full of themselves or really keep to themselves, or just they don't really want to get to know you at all, which is totally fair. But he was just super open, and it really made for a great experience. I think that would have been a lot harder working with someone like that in that context, like doing comedy and trying to go for it with someone who wasn't really open to that. And also he was super supportive of me, and like would laugh and like find, he was just really generous with that kind of stuff, which really helped, because I think you can get so intimidated by somebody. Like I've really admired him forever, and to feel like, oh, is he gonna think this is funny? Like, I don't want to be thinking about that while I'm doing this. So it was nice to have him just be someone who was like down.
Yeah. How did you not break the plane scene alone? I think I would have broke. Like, I couldn't do it.
Oh my God. Well, crazily enough, like right before that scene, we heard some really sad news, which I don't want to get into, so it was kind of crazy. We got like sad news right before that, and then we had to do that scene. So it was kind of odd. So I think we both had to kind of like disassociate from the situation for a second, to just go like, we just had to do this ridiculous thing after like crying for a second. So it was
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bizarre. So I think like that moment, I look at that as like, well, we really got through that, because that was a tough moment, and like to do that sort of ridiculous, over the top, obviously absurd scene, while also going like, oh, that was very sad. We have to deal with that later. Okay, so yeah.
All right, great. I love Jackie Sandler in it too. It was so funny. Like, how was working with her? And
she's like the sweetest person ever. She's so nice and just really thoughtful and really fun to be around, and I just love her. I mean, I left that experience being like, she's just one of the sweetest people in the whole world. I like complimented her perfume one day, and she like surprised me with a bottle of the perfume, and I was like, that's the nicest person. Like,
oh my God. Yeah,
people don't do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anyone like that, so that was really cool.
Yeah. Like, only know trash people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. What was the audition process like? Like, I'm such a bad auditioner that I'm like, how do you do it?
Yeah, that audition was kind of intimidating, because when I got there were a bunch of comedy girls that I knew there, which is, it's always nice to see people but you also go like, oh, they're gonna be better than me, or they're gonna get it, or whatever. So there's that part of your brain that's like trying to just turn off, like, okay, I'm just gonna not get worried about what they're doing. And I really just went in. When I got the script, I like with the audition pages, I really didn't know how to do it, because the character is so over the top that when you read it, I was like, do I have to do a big character? Does it have to be like does she need to be Southern? Like, what am I supposed to like add something to this to make it like make sense? And I just decided just not to do that and to just perform it like a weirdo, basically. But it worked. Yeah.
Like, it was great.
But I think like leading up to it, I was like, I don't know if I should audition for this. I can't figure out how to say this. And then I just kind of went for it and it worked. But that was kind of unexpected. And then the audition was with the director and then a handful of the producers, and I just did it once, or did the scenes a couple times and then left, and then that was it. And I got the part later, like a few weeks later. So it was cool. I didn't know what to expect. And I mean, I think just after auditioning for so many years, and there are so many jobs you don't get, for the most part, you don't get any of them. So it's like, you just get used to assuming nothing will come of every audition, because otherwise you'll just spend forever like being like, I wonder if I'm gonna get that part, and then you see the movie come out and you're like, oh, I guess I didn't, and like that feels bad. So it's much easier to just go like, I did an audition, and then leave and kind of not worry about it too much. So I feel like whenever I get a part, I'm like pleasantly surprised because I've kind of forgotten that I even did it. Yeah. It's much easier that way.
Such a great attitude to have with it too, and do all that.
It helps. I definitely wasn't like that at the beginning, and I would take everything super seriously and worry about auditions so much, and then it just, it lowers your self-esteem because a lot of times you don't get the parts. So you're just like, did I get it? And they're like, no. And they're like, you're right. So now I know that if I don't hear anything, I just didn't get it, which is fine.
My brother and I are both comedians, but my parents, you are their favorite comedian by far. I was like, you have to ask her if she took any like interpretation from the Three Stooges, or if she was inspired. He was like, you're such a great physical comedian. So he was like,
oh, that's so funny. Oh my God, I love that. Well, tell them I say hi. I've never really watched Three Stooges, but I do love physical comedy, and like I Love Lucy, and I watched tons of sitcoms like Laverne and Shirley and all that stuff growing up, which I think definitely influenced me. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many things like that but I think sitcoms were really my thing growing up, that I just really attached to and like watched over and over again. I mean, even someone like Urkel like sticks in my mind as like a physical comedian, and like that is impactful in my brain for some reason. But yeah, I think so much of it comes from things like that. I mean, I think Laverne and Shirley is like a total highlight in my mind of just women going crazy and being hilarious. Yeah.
When you got Are You There, Chelsea, since you love sitcoms, did you freak out, or like were you really excited about it? Yeah.
Oh my God, that was the most exciting thing ever. I had never really worked that much. Like I had been doing improv for a while, and I got a couple commercials right around that time, and then booked that pilot, which was my first real TV job. And it was so intimidating. I mean, I had never done multicam. I had never done anything. So it was like, I have to memorize all these lines, and I would get really nervous about it. But then when the show got picked up, I mean, it was so thrilling. And I think totally set the bar in the wrong place for myself, because it was so lucky. Like looking at that, I'm like, that just is pure luck. Like I got that part, I got the audition, I got the part, the show got picked up, and we got to do 13 episodes, which for me, like, I think it's one of those things that I look back at as I can understand how, from like a perspective of someone who was already really established, that would seem like a failure. Like, oh, we got 13 episodes, we got canceled, like half a season. But to me, I had never done anything. So I was like, this is the biggest thing in the world. And I still like look at it that way, because it's so rare to get a show picked up. And it's rare to book a pilot. It's rare. All that stuff is like really lucky. So I still think it was really cool.
If you're like me, you have no time for breakfast. Trust me, I get it. And finding something healthy can sometimes be really difficult. So use Magic Spoon. It's this great cereal. It is low carb, high protein, and Jess and the Guest listeners get 10% off. Again, that's 10% off. Use code Jess and the Guest at www.magicspoon.com. What was Chelsea Handler like too? I'm a fan of hers, but yeah.
Yes, I'm a fan too, and I definitely was at the time, and so I was really excited to meet her. And I had read her books, and she was super funny. I mean, she's such a strong person. Like she dominates the room. Like she comes, especially at that time, like she would come in and like, it's all eyes going in that direction. There's just an energy about her, and She was really, really nice though, and made it really easy. I think it was very cool. And I remember at the time just being like so overwhelmed by all of it because I was getting to work with Laura Prepon and Chelsea Handler. And then like
Incredible.
At that time we were shooting next to 2.5 Men, which Ashton Kutcher was on. And so like we would go like hang out with them after in like the trailer. It was like, like a big party situation, not like me and Ashton Kutcher chatting, but like it was very surreal to be like, I'm on a Warner Brothers lot, like with Ashton Kutcher. Like, I don't know what's going on. So it was a very exciting time. And I always like would bring friends to the tapings and like so everyone could experience it. Cause I just thought this is like the coolest thing ever.
Oh, that's so cool. How was Between Two Ferns too? You were incredible in it. Like, was it really mostly improv?
Yes. So we really had like a very loose outline for the scenes every day. Yeah. And I mean, I had the best time with that because that's my like favorite thing to do is improvise. So to get to do that with Zach Galifianakis and all these other funny improvisers who were cast in the thing as well, it was like we were just having a great time every day. I truly was like, that was one of my favorite experiences ever because we just got to mess around so much, and so much of it didn't make it into the movie. I mean, we spent hours every day improvising just stuff that no one would ever see.
That's so fun.
But that's really fun. So
I know Ryan from the Groundlings, and he's amazing. I was like, all of these are such great improvisers. Like, I would love to be a fly on the
Ryan. Oh my God, Ryan Gall makes me laugh so much, and I mean, everyone was fantastic, but he's hilarious, and so it was really great. Like the cast was so fun, and we just fuck around every day, and
Were you there? Did John Hamm, wasn't he one of the cameos or what?
Yes. He was great. He was super funny. And that was the thing. I mean, all the people who came in to play with us were like really aware of what the whole thing is and willing to make a fool of themselves. And that was really enjoyable. Like even just Zach would do a full like 2-hour interview or hour-long interview with each celebrity where we wouldn't even be a part of it, like the other actors, but we would just all watch because it was so funny just to watch him like mess around and make fun of them and see if they would go with it or what they would do. And everyone was really cool.
Was John Hamm just as ugly in person as he is on TV? Just hideous.
He was so ugly. And so everyone was really upset whenever he would come around. And
no, it was so well done. And so, I mean, I loved everything about it. Like, was it hard improvising with Zach, like with his character? Because I feel like it's such a teamwork thing.
Yeah, it was really fun. I think because my character is supposed to be his kind of like right-hand man and like protect him sort of. We had a fun dynamic where I was sort of like taking care of him. And he's just so absurdly funny. I mean, there was a scene where we get washed down the hall by like a flood and I could not stop laughing. I had to like bite my cheek so hard because he was falling over and over again in the water with the plants, like just for many, many takes, like where I'm like, he must be getting hurt. Like this, he is flopping his body like onto the ground in this pile of like ferns and water. And like, he's just so funny. And that was like the whole experience for me over and over again. I mean, he goes so hard with everything, which I just love to witness. And it makes me feel like I can like step up my game. Like, oh, I want to like be like this. Like he's just so committed and like doesn't miss a beat and he doesn't break.
Yeah.
So,
which you just hear you say that. I was like dying laughing. I'm like, how do you?
I know. And I mean, I break so much. It's definitely a problem. But
no, I know Scott directed that movie. Like, was it weird? You guys are so great together, you and Scott. Like, was it different having him direct you, or was it like just really cool?
I think in some sense it was. I mean, we've done so much together with like Comedy Bang Bang over the years and the tour, and like we're friends, so we have that dynamic. But I mean, also there's, when you go to work and someone's like in charge, there's like automatically a hierarchy, and there should be, because I mean, I shouldn't be allowed to just do whatever the fuck I want. So it was definitely like, it's easy for me to give myself up to that because that's what the roles are in the situation. But I think we definitely had a couple moments where we would go like butt heads a little bit for like a split second, and then I'm just like, okay, who cares? But you can't help it.
I know. Yeah. I was like, it's common. And you've done so many podcasts too. I love newcomers. Like, how is all that going? I hate Star Wars. So I was like,
oh my God. Okay, good.
I don't know how. I'm like, thank God someone understands. Like everyone else loves it. And it's the whole, I don't know, it's a whole new world.
Yeah. So yeah, we're watching, Nicole Byer and I watched all of Star Wars for the first time in the first season. And we watched all of Lord of the Rings for the second season, which we had never seen either thing. And Lord of the Rings was harder, I would say, because we did 20 episodes and there's really not 20 things to cover. Like we listened to like a BBC radio hour at one point and we were like, I think I need to die now. But the first season was easier because with Star Wars there's so much content and there's like so many movies. And we watched them all, but like, I mean, it's draining to watch things that you don't feel like watching. Like, I know that sounds like it's not that hard, but like to watch, you know, I don't know how many movies there are, like 10, 15 movies that you don't feel like are your genre. Yeah. And to have to really pay attention is like exhausting, and then to talk about it at length. But we often would find that like once we got to talking about it with someone who was a fan of it, we found that like, oh, I think I did kind of like that. Like, I don't know, like it's like kind of when I'm watching by myself, I'm more critical of it. And then when I'm with someone who really likes it, I can see what's cool about it. And so over the course of the Star Wars season, I started to like appreciate Star Wars more. And I don't hate it. Like I sort of, there's some things that I like. But Lord of the Rings, I don't really want to watch again. But you know,
like haunts me. Even just watching it, I just can't. Yeah.
Well, and they're so long. I mean, that's part of the problem too. Is that all of these movies that we had to watch are like over 2.5 hours, sometimes 3.5 hours. I'm like, that's torture. Yeah. If you don't feel like watching it, like anything is hard.
I'm only on like episode 3 of The Mandalorian, but like. I hadn't watched it with someone who wants to watch it, and I'm like, it's painful. Like it's a great show.
I know. Like, we watched some of that too, and we were like, oh, this is pretty fun. And then we were like, we'll never watch more of it. Like everyone's like, did you finish it? We're like, no, we were doing a podcast about it. Like I'm not gonna keep watching it. Yeah.
I love to. I heard you're doing Zoom workouts. Like how are you?
I have done some Zoom workouts. So I will not. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not consistent about this, and I've only done a handful of them, but they can be really good and bad. Like, I mean, I did one that was really hard and I was like, this is almost awkward to like be on camera, like doing some.
No, that was me.
Like, cause I don't want to, I mean, yeah, like I don't want anyone looking at me. Of course, they're not looking at me because everyone's doing the activity. So like no one's looking at you, but there's this feeling of people looking at you because you have a camera on yourself for no reason. Yeah. And then I've done some that were kind of fun. I did like a Zumba workout, and I invited some friends to do it with me, and that made it really fun because we could like, it felt like we were hanging out a little bit, like we're like in this big room together, like hi. But then I think what I don't want to see is myself dancing on camera, so that wasn't ideal.
The screen
good
so
workout, but like,
yep, in there. But have you played so many characters? I love the characters on Netflix. Like, do you have a favorite character you've ever played, or? You've done so many. But
I have a few that I really love to do. I mean, I think in my character special, it was really fun because I got to bring to life like a lot of characters I'd done on podcasts where I had never gotten to do the whole like hair and makeup for them and everything. And so some of them, I mean, were really exciting. Like Pamela from Big Bear, who's like basically a meth head.
The voice.
It was. It was.
I love it so much.
It was really fun because I got to like, you know, paint my teeth brown and like be kind of crazy and do it, just go nuts, which I love doing. So, I mean, that's definitely a favorite. I'm so surprised by that character because it kind of came out of a couple podcasts, and I ended up initially hearing about it. Like I initially got inspired to do it from a YouTube video I saw of like these people at a monster truck rally there was a really, really drunk woman who talked like a lot like that. And I just got inspired by that voice. Like, oh my God, her voice is so intense. And then it just became a thing. And what I really like about that character is that she will say and do anything and there is absolutely no filter. And most of my characters, I think, have no filter in that way. But that one's one where I really can't think or I will ruin it. Like, it's better to just have it be like whatever comes out.
Yeah. I love Wild Horses. I've seen you guys live so many times. You did the Kennedy Center? Is that?
Yeah, that was really exciting. So we initially did that in like 2014 or something. We were performing as part of Tig Notaro's Benson Ball, which is like a festival she puts on, and one of our members, Stephanie, is married to her. So we were performing there, and we got to perform at the Kennedy Center, and that was like such a great trip because we got to go to the White House, and Obama was there at the time. We didn't meet Obama, but it was a good White House. Yeah. And there was just like a lot of fun experiences, and then we got invited back last year at the beginning of 2020. We went back and did another show there, and it was so fun. and really cool just to be in a place like that where it's such an amazing building and has, a great history. And then we come in and we're just like saying revolting things. And
I love it. Did you guys instantly have chemistry? Because you guys are all so funny. You all compliment each other so well. Like, it's just such a joy to watch on stage. Like, was it always?
Oh, it was really lucky, I think, because I initially got invited to perform at an all-female comedy festival in Portland called All Jane No Dick, and they asked me if I had an improv group, and I just said yes, but I didn't have a female improv team at the time, and so I just invited Mary and Aaron and Stephanie because I was like, oh, we'll get a free trip to Portland, we'll just do some shows and like it'll be fun, and we were all friends. From like we were in a book club together and we knew each other from UCB just like around, but we hadn't really performed together. So it was really more just like, I think these people will be fun to go to Portland with. And then we ended up having a really fun show. And now it's like 7 years later or something, and maybe more. Incredible. I don't even know.
Yeah.
and it's been so great. So we've gotten to know each other, of course, very well through all these years, and the show has evolved so much. And we realized over time, like, we just like talking to each other. So we kind of made the show like, we're just going to talk with a guest and like get to know them and talk about whatever we want and share weird stories and then do a little improv at the end. So it kind of became like our ideal format with each other so we can kind of hang out and still perform.
Yeah. Was it a big change going from New York to LA? Like,
yes, it was. I'm originally from outside of Chicago. And so I did like the improv scene there. When I moved to New York, I had to start over again. And that's like one of the hard things about moving in general. But starting over in the comedy scene, like you have to like take classes again or like, get to know people. And it always feels like you're just almost at square one. Like no one cares that you did this over there and whatever. Like, so it's always hard. And I got to, I made a few close friends during that experience. And I was only there for like a year and a half. But then I moved to LA and it was the same thing. I had to start over. I had to take, I audition for teams and meet people and try to like figure out how to become a part of this scene, because you're just like a random person to everyone. You have to like prove yourself over and over again. Yeah. And so that was challenging. I mean, I think I'm so grateful for the improv community because it made it so that I had at least somewhere to start with making friends in a new city. And I think if I didn't have that, I really have no clue what I would have done.
I know.
So,
nope, same.
And it makes me worried about the future with COVID and everything, that like these theaters are shutting down, because it is such a way to be social and make friends, like even beyond the performing element. Like it's such a huge social community. And I feel sad for that to possibly go away or to change. Like, I just don't know what it's going to be. But like when I moved, I definitely was lonely. And one of the things that was really helpful was I was on an improv team. So then there were like 8 people who were expecting me to be somewhere, at least once or twice a week. And so that automatically makes you feel like, oh, I have a purpose. I have a place to go, something to do, and cool people to talk to.
Yeah.
And it was definitely helpful for me.
I know. Yeah. I did a show at UCB on Sunset on March 10th, and I got a run, and I was like, yes, so excited. And then March 11th, the whole theater like shut down. It's like, no.
That's so fucked up.
I know. This is my
That's
life.
not fair. That is not fair. That's so brutal.
COVID's killing.
I know. I have thought about this so much during this time, because so many of us, that's like our outlet, and it's the thing. Like, it just feels crazy to not have that at all, and to kind of try to translate it to Zoom is a whole nother thing. I mean, I've done some live shows during this time, and it's just completely different. I mean, the energy behind it, the adrenaline that you would get from an audience, the joy, the laughter, like so much of it is not the same. Yeah. And you have to like use every bit of your internal energy to like make it happen. Like I do a 2-person show with Paul F. Tompkins on Zoom, like through Dynasty Typewriter. And it's always fun, but I always feel so exhausted afterwards, because I'm putting out like just everything I have to almost do nothing. Like, it's weird. Like, I do less performance wise than I would do on stage, because I'm not being physical. I'm not like getting up and moving around. I'm sitting in a chair, but I feel more exhausted because I'm like, it takes all my mental energy to just keep it going. And you're not playing off of any laughs. Like, you have to just kind of guess what's funny.
It's so hard. I give you.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's hard, and I think podcasting has helped because I've been used to not getting laughs on podcasts, obviously, because you just record them in a booth and then you release it.
Yeah.
And so there's this feeling of trusting yourself, like, okay, I can tell if something's working or not without a reaction.
Yeah.
But doing a live show and being like, there's a chat, there's like a comment window on it. And so I'm like seeing comments, which I like because I find it fun and supportive, and it also keeps the show energy like going. Like there's people here, you know?
Yeah.
But that's not the same as hearing laughter. Like someone being like, haha, in a chat window is like very different than like
that gets distracting too, because I feel like you're performing and looking, and I don't know.
It is like I think for my show with Paul it works because we kind of go to the chat for suggestions. We'll ask a question and kind of wait for the responses to come in. Yeah. But with Wild Horses, we were just talking about how we probably need to not look at the comments because we are just talking with each other, and then seeing someone commenting, you know, something is distracting. Like even someone like, you know, we were just doing the show, a show the other night, and someone's like, oh, Stephanie changed her hair. And it's like, okay, but we don't need to like, we weren't going to talk about that, you know? So like now we will, but like you're guiding the show in a way that is not like the audience is guiding it in a way that we don't necessarily need them to.
Yeah.
So we're going to not do that next time, but
yeah.
We'll see.
Do you set, I'm trying to figure out how to set my days. Like, do you set like hour by like, I'm going to write this hour. I'm going to, I don't know, prepare this, because I'm struggling so hard.
No. And it is a huge struggle. I'm like the worst with this. And I used to be, I think in the before times, you know, I used to be better at this because I had places to go. So it's like, okay, I know that I have this window of time to do this other thing. So I have to do it during this window of time. Yeah. And now I have endless windows, you know, and so it's very hard for me to stay on task. And I and just being at home all the time, there's other things I want to do, whether it's just watch TV or lay down or look at my phone for hours and hours and hours, which I am doing a lot of. It's very hard to go like, and now I'm going to write a pilot. Like, it's honestly wild to even consider. So I'm like, I have achieved certain things during this time, and it's only because of, I would say, like, for example, I took a screenwriting class for 10 weeks with Tim Neenan, who's a UCB guy who you might know, but he's fantastic. He's the teacher, and I took it with Mary Holland, and there were other people that I knew in the class, and it was all on Zoom, and that was 10 weeks, and I really liked that because it was every Saturday I had a thing I was going to do. I was going to see the same people, and I had a goal throughout the week to write whatever assignment we had. And that was really productive. Like at the end of that, Mary and I had a rough draft, and I was like, this is amazing. Like I don't know how I ever would have gotten that done otherwise. And we had been meeting before the class, like before we decided to take the class, we had been meeting pretty regularly on Zoom trying to write something, but we would just talk for like a full hour about nothing first. And then we'd be like, okay, we have like 30 minutes left. Let's like see if we can. And it just was like, this will never get done this way. So it was really helpful to have a class structure. And I kind of need that. And it's the same with working out. Like I have dropped the ball on all of my like good habits I had because I can't do them in the way I like to. Like I like to go to classes. Yeah. It makes me feel accountable, like, especially if I pay in advance. It's a huge thing for me. I'm like, okay, I paid $20. I'm not going to ditch this. So that's a huge motivator, and not having that is really hard for me. And I even just like trying to get myself to like get sunshine is challenging. I know.
Even with my dogs, like they don't like walking either. So I'm like, guys, let's go. They're like,
yeah, my dog hates this. It's like if I had a dog that wanted to go for a walk and I had to, like that might be helpful, but she doesn't like it, which in general is probably better because I don't want to do it either. But it would be nice if I had that, like, you know, pull myself up from the bootstraps and like make something happen kind of vibe. But I have this feeling of like, I really want this time to pass, and I really want to go back to going places. And part of me just feels like, oh, I just want to wait till that's possible to like do anything. I know logically that it'd be really great to use this time to like get a bunch of projects going. But it also, you know, the reminder over and over again that there's a pandemic and like it's horrifying. It's a lot. It's a lot to expect yourself to like also do a zany character or something at this.
It makes me feel so much better because I was like, it has been so hard for me. I'm like, I'm gonna write, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, I can't do anything.
It's so hard. I truly think it's so hard. And I, even with like my podcasts, I feel really exhausted by doing my regular stuff. Like it's your body and brain are just processing everything in a different way. And I do feel like we have to give ourselves a bit of a break, but there are those people who are like, I sold a movie, and you're like, okay, I don't know, I guess it is possible. And so that makes it feel a little bit worse, but I just trying to allow myself to not be too hard on myself with this, because it's not normal. Yeah. This is not like a regular occurrence in our lives where you have to stay home for a year and not see anyone and not have anything normal happen to you. So it's
I really thought it was just going to be like a month at most. I was not expecting.
No. And now I'm like, it could be a whole nother year. Like, there's just, we start to hear things and you just don't know what to expect. And it's probably better just to not expect anything, but it's hard. It's hard for sure.
I'm so glad it's not just me, because everyone else I know is like, oh, I'm writing this and I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm just trying to survive right now.
I know. And I mean, it's so hard. Even with like things I had going earlier in the pandemic time, like I was working on a project and then I have this guilt of like, I should finish it. I need to do something. And I'm like, no, I was in a different mindset at that point than I am now. Like I was able to do that then for some reason, or I thought this might end, or I was more excited about working or something. Yeah. And now as we're approaching like a full year, I'm like, I don't care.
Same. Like I'm just done with everything.
Like, what do you want?
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this though. Like you're one of my comedy heroes. You're so funny. You're so fearless.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Yeah, you and Mary writing a script sounds perfect to me. It's like I can't wait to.
It was very fun. Yeah. We need to, and that's the thing. I'm like, now I have to get back to work on that. So like at least I have someone else. That's also helpful to me, is when I'm working with someone else and there's a feeling of like accountability. It's my main motivator. I think is just okay. Mary's gonna think I'm a slacker. If only for Mary's sake, I'll continue.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this. You're incredible.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see more of your work and everything. So
thank you. Same to you. I'm excited. Thank you so much.
No, you're amazing. Thank you again for everything. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey everyone. Thank you so much for listening to Jess and the Guest. Please like, subscribe. You know the drill. All right. Tune in next Thursday for a brand new episode. And thank you again.